It's finally the big day. By the time you're watching this video, it will be Saturday, and Run for the Million is only a few hours away. I'm here to make some predictions for this. I'm shooting this video on Wednesday before I leave for Vegas, and some things may change with the horses and stuff, but this is my predictions as where I think they are right now. Before we get started with this, I'm going to start with my normal spiel of it's a reining. Any horse can win this. Any horse can be last. Chaos can happen. That is what horse showing is. Most famously, one year I predicted Cole Price to be 11th, and he ended up winning in a runoff with Sean Flaherty. So I'm going to start from the bottom of my list. I'm predicting them from 17-1. That being said, anybody can end up anywhere. And sadly, although he's one of my favorite people in the industry, I'm going to predict Casey Hinton at 17th with Magnum's Custom Dream. I think this horse is incredibly talented and in an elite tier. However, I think he maxed himself at the qualifier, and I think his ceiling isn't high enough to go win this deal. However, he could be anywhere, like his ceiling to place could be anywhere in the 6, 7, 8 range pretty easily with a great run. But I've only seen that horse make that run of that level one time, and it was at Cactus. Could he do it again and surprise me? Of course he could. Casey's a better showman than almost anybody wants to give him credit for. It's a very good chance. 16th, I'm going to get some grief for this next time I see him, but I'm predicting Martin Muhlstetter here. Sassy Son of a Gun is a very, very nice horse. I think there's a lot there. Kind of in the similar boat as Casey. I think his max is about that 226.5, 227 that we've seen. And I believe that as exciting as Martin is to watch show, and I think it will be exciting because he's a great showman, I think that that's not going to be enough this year unless he can get that exact max out again, and he's going to end up somewhere in the top half then. But I've not seen that horse be that consistent that many times. He's made some really good runs in the past, but to make a run of that level multiple times in a year is going to be hard. 15, and this is going back to my old thing about familiarity. I have Sierra Beck in 15th because Living on a Prayer has not been her horse to train. It's been Casey's, Deary's. That being said, she's a heck of a catch rider, and she could surprise us all and jump way up there. I just don't see it happening to the level that she's expecting. That being said, I'm hoping that I'm wrong on this because I think Sierra could really show off if it all clicks together. 14th is Dan Huss and Who's Joe Daddy. Who's Joe Daddy is a really, really nice horse. He's one of the younger horses in the field. Dan is underrated as a showman. Pretty much everything I said about Casey Hinton earlier, you can put on Dan. I think that Dan Huss is highly underrated, but I'm curious to see what this does. And I could see Dan being a lot higher than this, but I also could see him being around this area. 13th. Although, and this is the one that irritates me the most because I expected higher, and I had him higher until I heard something about horses and stuff, and I don't know who he's showing. So this is why Gennaro Lendi is landing in 13th. I had assumed he was going to show the one Mr. JJ horse. The list I saw from somewhere else that's unofficial didn't have that horse on the list. With the unknown factor, I'm putting Gennaro down here. That being said, I've watched him go be a 228 on many, many horses, and I think he could do it again. 12th, and this is a familiarity thing again. Mandy McCutcheon, Mr. Fahrenheit. I think Mandy could be higher. I think Mr. Fahrenheit could be higher. I think both of them together are not familiar enough with each other. That's where they're sitting 12th for me. I think that with more time together, it would have been a higher placing, but that's where I have her. Number 11, the one that's going to shock a lot of people, but this one, and there's another one later that will have a similar effect, is the time off factor, and that is Craig Smersel and no smoking required. I think Craig is an excellent showman, and me sleeping on him is probably the sign that he's going to go be second or third again, if not maybe win it. No smoking required is a great horse, marked 27 at Denver, or 27.5 at Denver. I just don't see it happening for him again. Things fell perfectly for him when he won it, when he tied to win it. And that's a great horse and a great situation, but I think Craig will need some fortunate things to go his way to place really high in this class. Number 10, Francesco Martinati, Spook's Got a Tinsel. I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse go mark a 27 or 28 and be 10th place, kind of like he was last year on Smoke and Trash. I could very easily see that happening. I think this horse is a monster stopper. I think it's wicked cool for everything it needs to do. I don't know if Francesco has enough top end to catch that elite 5 or 6 people. Number 9, Jordan Larson. I think Jordan could easily be higher. I think I Shine at Night is right on the edge of being that next tier of horse to be in that top group discussion. The way he stops and the way he circles, he's right there. I don't know if, even with the improvements in his turnaround, I don't know if he has enough turnaround to hang with the top about 5, 6 horses. 8th place goes back to what I said about Craig. The layoff, even though it's only been a year, and also what I said about Jordan too, and that's Trevor Dare and Jersey's Baby Driver. I think Hercules is an incredible stopper, an incredible circler. I also think that he is not as strong in the turn as the 7 horses I have above him. That being said, there's one other factor that puts Trevor a little lower for me here, and that's this horse has never had great luck here in Vegas. He's been good. He's never been great. And I'm going to say this directly to Trevor. Trevor, prove me wrong. You've done it before. Do it again. Number 7. In 7th place, I've got Caden McCutcheon, Varsity Blue. I think Blue has come along and become one of the more consistent performers that you can see in the industry. But we haven't seen him max out and be a 231 yet. We've seen him be a 228 and a 229, and I don't know if he's got any more, and until he proves that he's got more, that's where he's going to sit, is in 7th place. 6th place, and this one might be controversial, but this is why. This, from here up, is the level of horses that we've seen that have a different, that have just a different kick and gear to them when they do stuff right. Number 6 is going to be Sean Flarida, and May the Force be with you. The reason why this horse, who I know can mark in the high 220s and the low 230s, the reason why this horse is down here is because of lack of familiarity. Like I've said on a couple others, Sean is basically catch riding. He's had him for a few months, but this is basically a catch ride. In 5th place, I'm going to have Danny Tremblay and Tinker with Dreams, Cilantro. I actually think Cilantro's best year's peak was a couple years ago. He's still a great horse, and Danny's showmanship steps this one up for me. And honestly, I was juggling him and Sean between 5th and 6th, and Danny's familiarity with Cilantro and just raw showmanship that Danny has is why I put him 5th. 4th, and this is another level of horse. I think these top 4 horses have proven themselves to be the regular 230s in this world. 4th is Gina Schumacher and Gonna Step Ya. I think this horse is incredible. I think it can turn with almost anything in the country. If she gets her stops right, she could be hanging there at the very, very top. But Gina is incredibly aggressive as a showman with the right kind of balance for it. And I just hope that that stays on the razor's edge and doesn't go past the edge for her. Because if it does, she could very well end up being the first non-pro to ever win this thing. 3rd place, and now we're getting into what I consider my big 3. And it didn't matter which horse Jason showed here. I'm assuming he's showing the Buckskin. I'm assuming he's showing Best Shine. Even if he shows gonna be big time, that would be the same spot for me on this one. Jason has proven he can mark a 30 on both of these horses. He's done it repeatedly. I think Jason's horse is as good as anything else in the field, even the 2 that I'm about to talk about. I think, and I've said it many times, I think this horse is one of the most underappreciated horses in the history of the NRHA because he's been in a dominant era with other great horses, including the 2 that I'm predicting ahead of him. The fact that all 3 of these horses at the top are from the same year and showed at the same futurity is incredible. So we're going to take a little break here and talk about 2 and 1 because these are the 2 best horses in the country in my opinion. I have 2 rules when it comes to watching a reining. Don't bet against Downright Amazing, and don't bet against Andrea Fapani. They're competing against each other, so where am I going with this? Does Casey keep up the unbeaten streak and win the Run for the Million the prize that eluded him so many times? Does Andrea pull out Gambler or Lefty and go win it? Go win the thing that he's been this close to 3 times? It changes depending on which horse Andrea picks, and that is what does it for me. I have no other reason other than a gut feeling on this. If Andrea picks Lefty, he finishes second and Casey wins. The Trash Talkin' Spook is the horse I'm talking about. If Andrea picks All Bets Are Off, he will get around Casey in the streak and win his first million. I don't know how popular that opinion is going to be because either one of these horses is a great representative of what our industry is. There's just something about All Bets Are Off that makes me personally like him a little more. But Downright Amazing has had one of the best runs and is one of the greatest horses I've ever seen. Like, for consistency, for longevity, for things like that. The calendar year he's had since last year's shootout till right now is incredible. Do not take that I'm diminishing his accomplishments. I think that these two horses could duel all the time, and we would be none the wiser of, or we would only be better as fans for getting to watch those two great animals compete with those two great riders on them. Now, could anybody throw a wrench in this? Absolutely. In fact, I'm looking at that Sean and May the Force Be With You sitting 6th and going, oh man, he's going to come in and beat them all, isn't he? And there's a chance he does. There's a chance anybody does. I could pick out any one of those 17 riders and horse combinations and say they've got a chance to win it. I could argue till the cows come home that Casey Hinton is going to win it on Magnum's Custom Dream. I had to make an order. This is the order I came up with. Casey and Martin and Dan, all the guys that I know, I hope you're not mad at me for picking the way I did, but that's what this is. This is going to be fun to watch. I hope it's as competitive as it was last year, and I hope that I hope that everybody has the best run possible, and we get to see what the best horse is, not what the cleanest run is, if that makes sense. So with that, I'm going to sign off. We'll see y'all tonight up there in the stands, and we'll be cheering for these 17 riders as they go through the gate tonight, and I just have a feeling it's going to be deafening. Leave your predictions in the comments on both YouTube and Facebook. Like, share, and subscribe to the videos and the channel, and I will see you guys for the review whenever it comes out, because I have not heard if there's an embargo or not. But as soon as it comes out, the Facebook page and the YouTube channel will be the first to know. So thank you very much, and let's enjoy a great reining.